Please subscribe to this channel for more videos related to Catholic Christian teaching. The most essential function of the office of priesthood is to offer sacrifice. For every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and sacrifices. Hence, it is necessary for this priest also to have something to offer. The Council of Trent declares, sacrifice and priesthood are, through God's ordinance, so connected with each other that both existed in every law. By sacrifice is understood, in the widest sense, the surrender of some good for the sake of a good purpose. The religious meaning attaching to sacrifice in the widest sense is every inner act of self-surrender to God and every outer manifestation of the inner sacrificial disposition, that is, prayer, almsgiving, mortification. In the narrower liturgical sense, one takes sacrifice to mean an external religious act in which a gift perceptible to the senses is offered by an ordained servant of God in recognition of the absolute sovereignty and majesty of God, and since the fall, in atonement to God. In a sacrifice, we distinguish a visible sacrificial gift which represents the thing being sacrificed, a sacrificing priest who is authorized to appear before God as the representative of the community. The purpose of the sacrifice, which primarily consists in the recognition of the absolute majesty of God through adoration, thanksgiving, petitions, and secondarily in the reconciliation with God through atonement. An act of sacrifice which represents in a way apparent to the senses the inner invisible sacrificial disposition through the offering of the sacrificial gifts. The Holy Mass is a true and proper sacrifice. Against the attacks of the Reformers who rejected the sacrificial character of the Eucharist or accepted it only as a sacrifice in an imperfect sense, the Council of Trent declared that the Eucharist is a true and proper sacrifice. If anyone says that in the Mass a true and proper sacrifice is not offered to God, or that the offering consists merely in the fact that Christ is given to us to eat, let him be anathema. Prior to the Reformers, Wycliffe denied the institution by Christ of the sacrifice of the Mass. John Wycliffe was an English theologian, Catholic priest, and a seminary professor at the University of Oxford. He became an influential dissident and is considered an important predecessor to Protestantism. Wycliffe questioned the privileged status of the clergy and the luxury and pomp of local parishes and their ceremonies. Wycliffe's later followers adopted many of the theologies attributed to Wycliffe, such as predestination, arguments against the veneration of saints, the sacraments, transubstantiation, and the legitimacy of the papacy. The serious accusations of the Reformers proceed from the false presupposition that the sacrifice of the Mass, according to Catholic teaching, is an independent sacrifice side by side with the sacrifice of Christ on the cross, and that in virtue of the sacrificial activity of the priest, it confers ex opere operato forgiveness of personal sins and punishments of sins. Ex opere operato, in reference to sacraments, signifies that they derive their efficacy not from the minister or recipient, but from the sacrament considered independently of the merits of the minister or the recipient. According to this meaning, any positive effect comes not from ministers or recipients' worthiness or faith, but from the sacrament as an instrument of God. Affirming the ex opere operato efficacy means being sure of God's sovereign and gratuitous intervention in the sacraments. For example, in confirmation, the Holy Spirit is bestowed not through the attitude of the bishop and of the person being confirmed, but freely by God through the instrumentality of the sacrament. In order to receive sacraments fruitfully, it is believed necessary for the recipient to have faith. It is in those who receive them with the required dispositions that they bear fruit. Although the sacrament and the sacrifice of the Eucharist are performed by the same consecration, still they are conceptually distinct. The Eucharist is a sacrament insofar as, in it, Christ is partaken as nourishment for the soul. It is a sacrifice insofar as, in it, Christ is offered as a sacrificial gift to God. According to St. Thomas, it has the nature of a sacrifice in that it is offered up, and it has the nature of a sacrament in that it is received, and hence it has the effect of a sacrament in him who receives it, and the effect of a sacrifice in him who offers or in those for whom it is offered. In the Eucharist, the sacrament is directed immediately to the sanctification of men, and as the sacrifice, to the glorification of God. Please go to YouTube Retirementality channel, playlist, Sacraments, for the complete series of these materials.